Hello, Kevin. Welcome to MetalKaoz and in Chicago, even though virtually. Or should I say buonasera? I'm confused.
Ah, very nice.
Man, this is the only Italian that you will get out from me. I will continue destroying the titles of the track, so bear with me.
Oh, that's fine. You and me both.
Oh, hold on. You don't speak Italian?
No.
That's interesting. So how did you put together the dialogues and all that stuff?
Well, I had a couple of professional translators put it together.
Ah.
So I wrote everything in English. And then obviously I wanted to do it in Italian, so I made sure, that it was done professionally and, done in a proper way. So I had to pay somebody to put it all together, translate it.
I was expecting you to tell me that you have some grandfather or grandmother or some long
No, no.
lineage. So, how long did you have this idea? Because it's not, uh, should I say, music that we will expect from the band, although you have taught us not to expect anything from UNCLE ACID.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of I've always kind of wanted to do a sort of a soundtrack, maybe more instrumental music, just to try it. But the opportunity has never come up. So I just thought, well, why don't I just try and put something together myself? So I tried, just sort of putting together some instrumental ideas in the vein of a soundtrack. But I wasn't really that happy with what I was coming up with. I just didn't think it worked without having a story. So then I wrote a story, and then I thought, well, it'd be good to get some dialogue for this, get some actors involved, and then it just all went, it sort of snowballed from there. Came more than just a soundtrack. It's kind of its little thing, really.
Yeah, you can easily fool someone saying that this is an actual soundtrack.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like an audio film, really, in some ways.
Right. So you said that you had the idea and then you start creating the story. I will skip right to I have a question because at the end of the story, spoiler alert, right? The killer is getting killed,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
the killer that kills the killer, oh my goodness, is unknown. So is this your
yeah.
ending of Nell Ora Blu, The Return?
Possibly, possibly. Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, I just thought it'd be good to leave it sort of open-ended. It's who knows, were they watching the killer this whole time? Did somebody grass the killer up? How do they know it was him? How did they get revenge so quickly? Who knows what happened?
Although someone will say that's a cliche to end a movie, I will say movie now, a movie like that, right? Just in case you can have another one.
Yeah, exactly.
And oh, when you say, of course, I used online translators when the title is The Blue Sky, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Blue
yeah,
Hour, sorry,
technically,
sorry,
yeah, that's it. The blue hour, yeah,
Blue
yeah.
Hour.
So it
We
is.
have,
It's the time when the sky is that sort of blue color, and it happens twice. It happens
right.
just before complete darkness, and then it happens before the sun comes up.
And I think the timing of two killings happen on those different settings for the blue hour. One close to night, and then close to sunrise.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
It's
Yeah,
difficult to identify the timing just by hearing the audio, but that's my.
yeah. I mean, it's sort of open to interpretation. So I mean, you could look at it like that. But also sort of it's kind of like a metaphor because these people want to kill this guy and they think, well, if they kill him, then it's going to be all happiness for them and things are going to be brighter, they'll have a brighter future. So you could look at it as being the blue hour before the sunrise, or you could look at it as being the blue hour before complete darkness because things are going to get worse for them. And and as it happens, the killer gets killed, so it's things did get worse for them, and you never know who's going to come and replace. You think things are bad, but they can always get a lot worse.
Yeah. Or you can say karma is a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, how did you come up with this impressive cast? You wanted from the beginning to use actual actors for this? When I say actual actors, because there is a distinction, right? Voice actors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wanted yeah, as you say, actual actors, people that would be recognizable. Um, and I had a couple of people in mind. I contacted somebody who was kind of a lot lesser known, and he never got back to me. And then I thought, oh, do you know what? Why don't we just go for the absolute top
right.
person that I could think of? And so, I found Franco Nero's agent and I just sent her an email and she got back to me straight away and said, yeah, I'll call Franco tomorrow. And I'll let you know. And then I was, really surprised that it was that easy. Um, and then, yeah, Franco liked the idea. And then, once he came on board, it was easy to sort of sell the idea to other actors because, obviously Franco Nero's a legend. So, it becomes, if people know that he's involved, it becomes easier for them to sort of want to get involved as well.
Right. So, how did you pitch the idea? I mean, I cannot think another instance where we have a soundtrack without a movie. So, how did you convince an actor to take part of this? How did you sell your idea?
I just sort of I sent him the story, um, and then he wanted to see the script, so I sent him the script, and there was a little bit of confusion at first. I had to explain you're not going to be on camera. I think Edwidge, sort of thought that maybe there was some filming involved, or at least her agent thought that, and I had to explain no, it's all audio. It's if you think of it like an audio film, um, so you have to perform the dialogue. We'll record it, and then I'll put the sound effects and the Foley and the music. I'll put all that together. And so, they thought it was an unusual idea, and I think Franco in particular, he said, well, I've never done such a thing, so I'm willing to do it. It's a risk, and obviously it's a risk for you as well. So he was quite happy to do it.
For Mrs. Fennec, you have went through the press release, and there is an interesting story, right? Because you sent what you wanted, but you never heard from her that yes, I will do that.
Yeah, exactly. I was, explaining the thing to the agent, and there was a lot of back and forth with her, and then I just sort of never heard anything. She had the script, and I was just trying to arrange like when can I call her, because I can record it from here, it's no problem. And then it all just kind of went cold for a while, and then one evening I got a WhatsApp message, and it was um all of Edwidge's recordings. She'd done it herself. So
Oh.
she just, and she did a couple of different takes for each line and for each part. So and it was perfect. She had everything that I needed.
So you were not, let's say, the official director in the way that you will actually interact with the actors to say, oh, say this or
Yeah,
that.
not with Edwidge. With Franco, I was because
Mhm.
I called. We set up a phone call with him, so I was recording him, and I could tell him, no, you need to do it a little bit more angry, please, or do it this way. So with him, I could direct him. And also with Giovanni, we did the same thing with him. I called him up and recorded him over the phone. And there was a couple of instances where I said, the tone isn't quite right at this part. If you could do it a little bit more like this. And so with those guys, I could, direct them over the phone. But with Edwidge, I just had to write direction for her. I sent the script and, there was sort of description of how I wanted it to be said. And she just followed the description herself, and it turned out great.
You mentioned Giovanni. Is it right that he passed away?
Yeah, yeah. Not long after we recorded this, yeah, I was shocked to see that, yeah, he'd passed away. So it could be the last sort of project that he worked on, which is a shame,
Yeah, man, that was extremely sad to.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so um I wanted to ask because when you talk to these stars, did you feel at all should I say starstruck or any stress? Because Frank, I don't think you have done that before, right?
No, yeah, I was a little bit worried, speaking to Franco, because it all just happened so quickly. All of a sudden, his agent said, yeah, he can do it on Sunday at 10 a.m., Italian time. So, which is 9 a.m. for me. I was up all night, worried about it and didn't get very much sleep. And then I woke up early, had about 10 cups of coffee, and then, called him up and I was all kind of, a little bit frantic. But he was so nice, and once we sort of started talking, everything was fine, and then we just got on with it. And he was great. He was really easy to work with, and really easy to talk to.
Hearing you describing this, although it pales in comparison, when I have an interview, especially with guys from the other side of the Atlantic, uh,
Hmm.
in your case, it's 8 a.m. for me. So I wake up
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
getting started. So I feel you, but it's not, as I said, it pales in comparison because
Yeah.
you worked way outside your waters, usual.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not, I mean, I don't, I've never really spoken to actors before. So it's not like, talking to a musician or something like that. You've got some kind of common ground with them. But yeah,
Mm.
with somebody like Franco, and obviously he's so like, he's a legendary guy from,
Yeah,
for so long, it adds a whole other thing to it.
jeez. What about the artwork? Because that's a killer artwork. It's very, very old, very 70s.
Yeah, yeah, it's we got Renato Casaro, who's he's again a legendary painter. He did all the sort of films in the 60s and 70s, well, just for decades. And I actually thought he'd retired. And then it turns out he came out of retirement for the Tarantino film, the Hollywood, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So he painted all the in that film. There's loads of different film posters for the 10 films that are in that, and he did all of those apparently. So he came out of time for that, and then I found his contact details, and I just I emailed his wife. His wife handles everything, um, and she I sent everything that I wanted, and then they came back with that, and it was perfect.
Man, I was almost expecting you to tell me, well, he retired, but he came out of retirement just for this.
Yeah, yeah, not quite. So, but I think he's in his, mid 80s now. So, but he can still paint, he's really, really good at, he's great at that.
Yeah. So of course we can say for the music, and I say of course because hear some Goblin influences, right? Especially in songs like Vendetta.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I tried not to listen to any soundtracks or watch any of the movies as I was working on it. But obviously, it's just like a natural influence that's in there. It comes out when you sit in front of a keyboard, and you're thinking of what's going on in the movie. You start playing, and it naturally comes out. I suppose with a goblin influence in some of the places. But I didn't want to do just a synthesizer album. For me, that would have been too obvious. So I wanted to have different genres, different instruments, and make it a little bit more varied.
And I think I may be wrong though. There is some spaghetti western influences. Bear with me now. In Justicia Distrata lavora fino al morte, alla morte.
Yeah, very nice.
Oof.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Again, that's guys like Morricone, what's his name? Alessandro Droni. He was the guitar player for Morricone, and he had that sort of twangy reverb guitar sound. So I tried to have that in a couple of places. Um, so yeah, it's just got a whole wide range of influences on there.
And then you have some effects. Did you do all the effects on your own?
Most of them, yes. Some of them were taken from a 1950s sound effects tape package,
Okay,
which we used. It was it's all sort of public domain effects, but they were used in a lot of old um like Hollywood films in the 40s and 50s. The recordings are they're not great, but it kind of worked for what we were using them for.
of course. I was about to ask about l'omicidio and the stabbing sounds. So
Oh yeah.
did
Yeah,
those come
that
from that?
some of them were, and then some of them I created. I can't remember how I even did it. Um, I
Well,
think I tried. I think I just tried stabbing an orange or something. I can't remember. There was some, but then like mixing it together with some banging noises. I went into a phone booth. I found a phone booth and just started banging and recording that. And there's also in that there's sort of like a stabbing sound that sounds a little bit like in the movie Psycho. There's the synth.
that's where I'm leading, right?
Yeah, yeah, there's that. But that was actually a recording of a waste paper bin that I heard in a hotel room. I just put something in the bin and it went. "Meow, meow, meow, meow." It had like a weird squeaky hinge on it. So I thought, oh, that sounds a little bit like Psycho. So I recorded that and then ended up using that in that song as well. So it's just a whole load of different effects and noises.
Well, you need to come up with a different story rather than stabbing an orange because it can easily be your Hitchcockian moment.
Yeah.
But I'm joking, I'm joking. Um, so after, and again, reading the press release, it sounded like you didn't have, let's say, the confidence that people will like that. But this, you were not correct. It's apparent that people like that. And in fact, I was a little bit frustrated because I saw almost all the vinyl editions getting sold out, but I think I found somewhere. So two questions. Have you, did you like this experience and therefore you would like to do it in the not so distant future?
Yeah, I mean, I liked the experience, but I don't think I would do it again anytime soon. I think it just sort of takes too long, to do it. But yeah, at some point it would be nice to do it again in the future. But it was nice to do. It was something that had to be done. I felt it was a perfect time to do it. And yeah, it turned out better than I'd hoped, actually.
Mhm. And then will you do, will Rise Above cut more vinyls?
Yeah, yeah, I assume so. I think with this there is problems with press implant delays. I mean, the album's been finished since last September. It got mastered in November, and it just takes so long, to get these things manufactured now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think they experienced a lot of delays getting the numbers of vinyl that they wanted. So everything's just backlogged. I think slowly they're starting to get delivery in, so hopefully it should be available a little bit easier. It's going to get shipped out to stores and things around the world, so hopefully people will be able to, buy it a little bit easier.
So you mentioned the time that it took. How long would you say that this project took from start to finish?
Um, Couple of years maybe, I suppose. And but it wasn't just always working on the same thing. It was, sort of stop start. We did a lot of touring in 2022. We did 3 months solid. We did our own US tour, Canada, and then we went and supported Ghost around Europe for 6 weeks. And that was all while, I was working on this. Um, so I had to stop for a few months and then come back. And then also I mixed the live album that we released last year. I had to, I was working on that. So it was sort of, it wasn't just like continuous work. It was kind of here and there, and then, waiting for things to get translated, or, trying to find actors, track people down and stuff. That all took way longer than, you know, you would hope that it would take. So it did. And then obviously, I was playing a lot of the instruments myself, so that made it even, that delayed things even more.
And you play the saxophone, right?
Sadly not. Sadly not the saxophone. Yeah, I had to get somebody in for that.
Okay, okay. So now that you mentioned touring, there is you have said that you will do some live shows with this album.
Yes.
So what will be the format, and how, when you say limited number, how limited, and where is the third question?
Well, at the moment, we're still working on it. Our agent is trying to put together a little sort of a mini tour, just to try and make it work. But the idea was to have it in venues where it was all seated, so kind of old theaters. But they can't be too big. Obviously, it needs to be sort of a reasonable size. And and yeah, so the idea would be to play it all the way through from start to finish, just the album, nothing else. And yeah, have people just seated watching it as if it was sort of
Movie.
a film or something. But yeah, so at the minute we're just looking at Europe. So I think maybe 6 or 7 shows, just playing the sort of main, big cities in Europe. But yeah, it's just been difficult trying to find venues for it, really. That's the hardest part. Because a lot of these venues, they don't put on rock bands. They're just sort of classical venues, or they have theater and things there. So they're a bit wary about having, a band called Uncle Acid turn up and play things. But yeah, hopefully it works out.
Well, Chicago has very good venues for that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do some shows in America, but I think just the distances,
Mm,
and we're gonna need extra musicians for this as well. So it then becomes a play,
yeah.
you have to get visas for them, which is so expensive now. Then flying everybody over for a few shows. So I just think it's probably, unfortunately, we'll probably just do it in Europe, just because it's, financially it makes more sense.
Well, you never know how things will play out.
True. Yeah, true. We could end up doing it, who knows? I would love to. I would love to bring it to America as well.
Yeah, and it will be maybe a good idea also to film some of these shows, especially if you think you will do those shows and you will be done, never look back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, so maybe we might film it. Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions, and I will let you go. First of all, will you release any videos, visualizations? I don't know.
Not for this. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, just because, I would love to, but it would mean kind of getting the actual actors involved, and it would just, yeah, just not really possible.
And then what is next on the calendar for UNCLE ACID?
Well, I mean, yeah, as I say, we'll hopefully do some live shows. It'll probably be early next year. So, we're gonna have to rehearse and do all that. And then, yeah, after that, I guess just start on the next one, and do it all over again.
You need to be frank with me. You haven't started already, because you said this record has been already done 1 year ago.
Well, it might already all be written, but it just means, having to record it and stuff. But yeah, yeah, it's mostly done. But so it's just a case of getting everything recorded.
Yeah, yeah. Bonus question. Will it be cool to see this as an actual short movie?
Yeah, I mean, it would be. And you never know, it could happen. It would take a lot of work, and it would probably take a lot of money, but it would, it could definitely work as a short movie.
I can see another career path from you for you guys. Thank you, man.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Kevin, thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure, and it's extremely a very interesting and very enjoyable experience going through that. I like getting vinyl records that have almost like a soundtrack
Hmm.
quality to them, and this is very, and frankly, because I grew up watching those movies, it's kind of some sort of nostalgia for me.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that, Demetrius. Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you in Chicago at some point soon then.
Okay, I'm noting this down. I will call you back. Okay.
Nice one.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.
Cheers, you too. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.